Hi everyone, Janice here. Now that you've established your area of research interest, the next two assignments will enable you to explore the literature and hopefully begin to move towards a more focused issue or question over time. In this assignment, you will begin to explore the academic literature and what kinds of research have been done in your area of interest and topics that may emerge that begin to focus on an aspect of that area of research. At this point, you can explore a bit, see what's out there, and begin to see what kinds of literature there might be to explore your area of interest. Keywords will focus your search, and the library search engine is really helpful in providing some of those keywords. And you can add to those keywords and, open up further opportunities for finding literature that will be helpful. And all of this will enable you to explore your area of inquiry. It's important to ensure that your sources are valid and useful research. So in order to ensure that the source is legitimate, it's useful to stick to the U of A search engines. Other search engines may be full of junk academic sources, and I hate to say that, but it's sometimes true. Journals in which researchers have paid to have their research published, it's completely unvetted by knowledgeable colleagues and so on. So that kind of thing we don't want to be using to support our research. So best to stick to what is most able to provide legitimate sourcing, and you'll find that in the U of A library search engines, or you're more able to. You don't need to read each source exhaustively. Often the abstract will contain key information to let you know quickly whether the article is helpful. If it seems to be helpful, then scan for information. And after quickly surveying the source, you can make a decision about its relevance for your work. At that point, you've said, yes, this is something I think I probably will use or potentially will use. And so at that point, you're going to become a little more familiar with the resource. Again, you don't have to necessarily read it exhaustively, but just scan, become familiar with the content, and so on. And you can write a clear, precise, and concise précis of the information required by the assignment description. And of course, I say again, start by reading the assignment description and rubric, and by reading the assignment description and rubric to be sure you've done everything that's been required. And then you're going to set up each entry with the correct reference at the top using APA 7th edition. Underneath will be your précis, that is your pulling together of the key ideas that are required in the assignment that will provide you with the kind of information you need as you're going through your research project. And then beneath the précis will be a brief reflection on the relevance of this source to your research area of interest. So formatting, how are we going to put this together? So first of all, I want to ask, please do not, in each one, it just takes up time and it's not relevant to the purpose of this particular assignment. There are many kinds of annotations, and in this case, it's a simple, straightforward, clear, concise information that is specific only to what's going to be helpful for you finding resources after the fact that are going to be helpful to you in your research. So don't include a whole bunch of biographical information about the authors of the article being annotated. Your focus is on the content of the article. Of the 5 articles you choose, and there will only be 5 in this assignment, select no more than 1 article from a professional journal or source, something like a ministry document, for example. The rest need to be academic articles from journals, books, etc. Choose articles that are either quantitative or qualitative in terms of their methodologies, and there's no stipulation in this assignment of how many of each. There will be in the next, but there is not in this, and that will enable you to explore various methodologies and begin to become more familiar with the language of research and language of research methodologies. Each entry needs to be 1 page or less, 12-point font and no more than that, double spaced or no less than that, for example. It needs to be double spaced, and each entry needs to be listed alphabetically. I ask that there please be no PDFs. I will be putting response right on your document. I include it right in your document so you can have a look at it and see where it might be tweaked in certain kinds of ways and that sort of thing, and decide whether that's something you'd like to do or not. So in order for me to do that kind of feedback, I need to have a document that I can get into. I prefer DocX. I can get into them easily. I have a Mac, and sometimes it can get complicated if you have some other form of computer. I prefer not to get into Google Docs and all of those sorts of things. I can do them. They're not as helpful. They take more time. And with 24 students in the class, I do need as much time as I can get to get things back to you in a timely way so that you're ready for the next assignment. So if that's not possible, please let me know. I need to know up front. And last, just an idea for you as you're starting into this pulling together of literature sources for your work. And this is a totally made up reference. But what some of you will be using specific kinds of programs and that sort of thing, and that's great. Please feel free to do that. But if you don't want to do that, if you want something simpler, I used to just put a capital letter. I would have a document that was specifically for resources. I would put capital letters of all the letters of the alphabet, and then I would just slide in my annotations into the under each of those alphabetical entries, and I could keep everything alphabetical so that I could find things quickly, and also it was easy to then cut and paste the information that I needed as I needed it. The other thing, and what I have here, a made up reference. You would put your annotation under that, and then I've got add-ons, and by that I mean if you find a quote, for example, or quotes in an article that you think you might potentially want to use, it's so much simpler if you have them right there. So just if you find a quote, put it in underneath your annotation and the page number, section number, whatever information you need to be able to find that again and to reference it again, and you've got everything there. So these little tricks along the way will save you time, will provide you with a broad range of resources, and really make it so much easier. Just a quick anecdote, when I was doing my PhD, where you have hundreds of resources, I had one quote that was absolutely key to one part of my paper, of my dissertation. And I had not written it down. I had to spend days to find that quote. And to this day, I want everyone to know, don't do that. It's really hard on you, especially if you're under, a deadline. So, so these are some ways that you can make it easy on yourself over time. It takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it in the end. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. And if you have any questions about the assignment as you go along, please feel free to ask them. This video I hope will be helpful, and the video about choosing whether an article is academic or a professional article hopefully will be helpful to you as well in this assignment as well as in the next. Take care.